Just making noises till I'm sure we're going on all platforms. Boom! And we're off. It's Thursday, September 7th, 2023 AD. It is 9:01:35 a.m. 35 seconds, right? Well, now it's 38, 39. Oh, no. And we're going to have here in Los Angeles, U.S. Pacific Daylight Time, we're going to have a fun show, hopefully, It's quite possible. It's entirely possible that we could have a fun show. I have some interesting stories, a lot of interesting stories. Man, I have some super chats to get to. I am remiss to this moment, to this day, in not getting to all of the super chats yesterday. Terrible. Shameful. Have some cool music to share. That ADL guy, I have a clip of him, Jonathan Greenblatt. He's so charming. Might not be the right word, but anyway. High verbal IQ. The blacks, I meant to get to this story yesterday. The blacks posing for the camera as they steal shamelessly in the stores. We need a little bit of that Asian or Muslim culture. Crack down on the thieves. Or even, I don't think white culture used to be so permissive of this mess. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Not normal white, anyway. I hope to pile on to, I don't know who else is piling on to her that I'm piling on, but I've certainly bashed her many times with love, if I love anybody, right? Naomi Osaka. She is a black Japanese tennis player gal. Literal tennis player, unlike LeBron James. And she's going to return to tennis, but she got pregnant and had a baby out of wedlock. Does she even know that that's wrong? The younger whippersnappers, she's 25, they don't know that it's wrong, maybe. With a rapper. Oh, Gregatron, I did not censor her pregnant belly. Oh, gross. These women showing their naked pregnant bellies. Is it right to call it naked? It's kind of like, my forearms are naked. I don't know if that's the right word, but a belly should not be shown so much, especially not a pregnant belly. And some other things, soccer, the soccer kiss, the forceful kiss. It was a forceful kiss. It might not have been a forcible kiss, but they call it a forcible. New York Times calls it a forcible kiss. I don't know if it was a forcible kiss. I did give the chest. I gave the chest cradle to grave, no fear. I opened the chest. Anyway, so all that and your calls, guys, if you would like to call in. But anyway, let's get right on with the show.
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey! Hassan got the new Hake splash screen. I was thinking about that. That's cool. If you're watching the video feed, or if you were watching it, you saw some beach scenes with some awesome fog. So cool. High res, too, says Hassan. Nice. Yeah. Papa. I do go outside sometimes nowadays. A little, what a mess. Hake, you don't like bellies? Asks Maina. Am I pronouncing that correctly? I asked her or him how to pronounce his or her name, username anyway. And she or he said, pronounce it Australian. So Maine. Point Dune? I don't know what that is, but it's San Onofre Beach. Down near San Clemente. Hake be spitting through my screen. No, sorry, I spit. I don't like to spit. I am wearing my I Disavow Hake t-shirt. I Disavow. It's a t-shirt from the Hake Report Teespring store. thehakereport.creator-spring.com with I Disavow Hake Monkey, and he's covering his mouth. Yes, it is in my merch. So, and this particular t-shirt, this maroon color, we in this Bond office here have ordered 2 of them, and one medium and one large. This medium is, I think I've worn it more than once, so it feels comfortable. I mean, without washing it again. Okay, and you know, cotton you don't necessarily have to wash, but it is it runs a touch small. This particular color, and it's 100% cotton. Just FYI, runs a touch small. Like I got a large for somebody who normally wears a large, and it fit a bit tight. So you may consider going a size up, but then it'll be extra baggy. But I don't know. Burgundy, says Peter R. Not maroon. Okay. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, monkeys. Good or bad? I don't know. I just think that they're cute. Or cool. It's not cute. If a man or a boy is wearing something, it's not cute, it's cool. So, guys, let's jump right into the ADL coverage. There's an interview that took place on one of these, you know, like CNBC or somewhere. Let's see. Still Gray tweeted about this, but he quote tweeted the guy named Greg Price, who's, you know, a reporter type of a guy. I don't know, sort of a relatively conservative guy, I think. And he shares, oh, this is from Squawk Box. CNBC, okay. So Andrew Ross Sorkin, I think he calls himself Jewish. A Jewish reporter or interviewer, announcer, asks Jonathan Greenblatt, the head of ADL, Anti-Defamation League, if he was seeking to have a role at X or shaking Elon Musk down for donations to the ADL like he did, according to Greg Price, to Adidas and the Brooklyn Nets. And he responded by saying that that's an anti-Semitic trope. And that part is not as interesting to me as at the end. He says, I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in counsel culture. He likes to give counsel. Not to you, the individual person. I don't want to use the term anti-Semite. But to these huge commie capitalist corporations like Twitter, X, Facebook, Google, apparently Adidas and Brooklyn Nets. He likes to counsel them. So here's the clip clip 41. I hope it's in the folder. Is it clip 41 in there? Okay. Yes, let's go for it. Here it is.
7 days of the week. Can I ask a question? Because I know this has been a critique of your organization and of many. Were you seeking to have some kind of either role at Twitter or any kind of donations made or other things?
No.
I only say that because there have been folks who've looked at these situations and felt that they were being shaken down.
Look, I think, let me be honest about that, right? I think it is sort of anti-Semitic trope to suggest when Jewish people express a degree of outrage over anti-Semitism, that somehow that's a shakedown because Jews are greedy. That sounds to me.
I'm not
saying you believe
I'm not even
that.
trying to. I'm just saying that is the critique. Occasionally, you hear the critique among not-for-profits in certain cases that are involved in certain causes that talk to companies, and you hear it from leaders who say, I feel like
I hear that, but my view on all of this, we've talked about this before on this show. I don't believe in, and this is really to you, Joe, I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in counsel culture. Right. So someone makes a mistake, you help them fix it. So what we've tried to do over the years with Twitter, with YouTube, with Facebook and all of its platforms, with...
See, isn't that nice? Counsel culture. Wouldn't you like to be counseled by Jonathan Greenblatt? It makes him seem like he's befriending you. Isn't that so? It's like, what is that word? Not convincing. What's that word? How to win friends and influence people? It's like what's that word that council camps, re-education camps. Shakedowns don't exist. Mafia leader says, spoiler. No, not conniving. I mean, it's that too, but it's persuasive. It's more persuasive. I'm counseling you. I like it. Manipulation. Persuasion. As Scott Adams calls Trump a master persuader. Scott Adams, or used to call him that. Euphemism. Sort of a euphemism, too. Kind of like he took, I don't know if he did himself, but he took, who's that guy whom we talked about? The brother of the guy who was supposed to be on
Nick
the show.
Cannon.
Yeah, Nick Cannon. Some of these counselors took Nick Cannon under their wing, and Nick Cannon said, I have much to learn. I don't know if Nick Cannon said that, but that's the typical thing that you say when you say something, quote-unquote, wrong. So that's amusing. I just found it amusing. Still Gray tweeted about it. He quote-tweeted it. I don't know if it's worth mentioning what he said. Still Gray is Ian Miles Cheong, sort of an independent journalist guy. Indonesian, I think. Comments on a lot of the stuff going on in America. He's with that Canadian Breitbart group, Rebel News. Canadian answer to Breitbart? I don't know. It's apparently anti-Semitic for anyone, he says, including Jewish people, he says, to point out that the ADL is a protection racket. He sort of strawmans a little, in my opinion. They use this as this label as a means to coerce and intimidate individuals and businesses into compliance, he says. That's a legitimate sort of a statement, I think. He says, this is interesting, actually. Ian Miles Cheong. He says, they tried it with PewDiePie. I actually have this tweet. It's worth sharing in there, Hassan. It might be in the other folder. Yeah, ADL 2 Still Gray is the one to show inside of the other folder. So you guys can sort of read along. Because I find it difficult to listen to people reading. I don't know if you guys are like me. But I cannot really comprehend when somebody's reading. Maybe it's my poor listening skills or something. I just tune it out. Like when I'm listening to the X-Files and Mulder or Scully, they talk all poetic about something. It's so corny. I just automatically tune it out. I cannot pay attention or comprehend what they're saying. So they tried it with PewDiePie, says Ian Miles Cheong. The ADL did, according to him. And he tends to give legitimate, real information. Sometimes his interpretation is, I disagree with, or off. PewDiePie, the big YouTuber. Why can't I have as many subscribers and following in a 9-year-old army like PewDiePie has? I need to get on more Mary Rice Hopkins songs. And I have more Mary Rice Hopkins for you later. They almost got him to donate $40,000. Wow, a measly, piddly little $40,000 from PewDiePie. He's like a Swedish millionaire guy. He married some gal. I think he's like an atheist or something. Most Swedes are, right? He gave them, he says the middle finger instead. Don't read that, kids. So PewDiePie, base PewDiePie. Because remember the evil mainstream media organization, the Rhino outlet, I call it a Rhino outlet, Wall Street Journal, smeared PewDiePie as a kissing up to Hitler, you know, dog whistles for Hitler and white supremacists. PewDiePie is just a funny, fun person and also somewhat of an independent thinker. You pause a lot, Hake, says The Love Beneath. I personally like pauses. I may pause too much. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in counsel culture. And I don't really believe... Well, it's kind of a lie to deny that when he said, oh, it's an anti-Semitic trope to say that Jews are greedy. I mean, they are. They're human beings, aren't they? Aren't human beings greedy? And they're quite capable of fulfilling that greed, or satiating that greed, you know, feeding that greed by more or less legal means or getting away with it, you know. And then the blacks do it with, like, sometimes with stealing and lying and not being as high verbal IQ about it, or whatever you want to call it. And then, like, some of the whites satiate their greed by apologizing when they don't really need to apologize because they're afraid of losing something. Is that a form of greed? When you're afraid of losing worldly things? Isn't that sort of what greed is, believing in worldly things? Like Hake apologizing for the sake of my channel. But that doesn't really have to do with money so much as getting out there. I suppose in a roundabout way, it's sort of money. The Jew is your daddy, says Maina. Wow, that's an whatever. Anyway, but to me, I don't really even believe that it's just purely money. It's also power, influence. They want to force their mama will and mama policing of your speech and language and niceness on these corporations. You know, I think that's a human nature type of a thing. I try to crack down on people saying this or that thing that I don't like them saying. I think that's a evil, control freakish, mama spirit, evil nature motivator as well. In some cases, more than money. So just, but it's all like evil selfishness, you know. So that's that. I kind of like talking about these things in a way that human beings can relate to in their the evil human nature. Like if you know how evil operates in you. Because I always liked that about how JLP talked about the blacks. It was in a way that I could relate to myself. So, nice. Speaking of the blacks, let's enjoy this amusing clip. Or it's not amusing. It's not amusing. It's entertaining. Clip 32. This is from yesterday. I meant to share it. Still great. Oh, there's that Ian Miles Cheong guy again. I'm playing this with backwards music because it has music over it. Still great. Ian Miles Cheong tweeted this. Pose for the camera. Take anything you want off the shelves. Do whatever you want. I don't know when this was or where this was. Or if this was. Maybe it's just AI. I kid. Pretty sure it's not AI. Quite sure. I don't think AI has come quite this far yet. Do whatever you want. It's all for the taking. Welcome to a world without accountability, says Ian Miles Cheong. Or tweets, or posts Ian Miles Cheong. It's not tweeting anymore. It's posting. So here's the little 32-second clip. Again, it's backwards music because it might be copyrighted music. And only copyrighted music I play willingly and intentionally is Hake music. Okay, here it is. Oh, okay, so there's this black gal in like a store, CVS type of a store, and she's doing peace signs, kind of covering her face, maybe a touch of shame there, a hint of shame. Mildly attractive gal. And then a black dude wearing black and shorts, t-shirt, wild hair, typical braid type of thing. Nice high top shoes. And they're just waltzing out of the store, and the person with the camera is apparently following them. They're going outside. Beautiful day. And they just, no mask to cover their faces to hide the fact that they're stealing. Did the black guy have a mask? I don't think so. I think he just had a beard. So, all smiling, and then she kind of covered her eyes a little bit with the peace signs, but she was clearly identifiable if you're able to tell them apart. You know what I mean? Because they all look alike to us. We all look alike to them. Take that to whichever it applies, you know, because I do have a black audience. You and your Hake rhythm, a true criminal offense, Hake. What do you mean, Lin Yan Chen? Do you mean the pacing of my speech or how I reversed the music? Because I'm not really a fan of that reverse music, but I didn't want to put it, Hake got jungle fever. No, I'm just acknowledging that she's mildly attractive, maybe just because she's relatively young gal. So, you know, what's to say about it? Oh, more blacks stealing. Big news. Whoa. Now I know how the mainstream media feels. Oh, blacks killing one another? It's not news anymore. It's kind of like in that Disney movie, lame-o, communist sympathizing propaganda Disney movie about unions and striking. Newsies? How about a crooked politician? Hey, stupid, that ain't news no more. Don't say stupid, kids. But yeah, I do really appreciate JLP. He talks about this stuff in a spiritual way. So, the people who take it wrong or take it all sensitively, they get all sensitive about it. Oh, you talk about women 24/7. Or you talk about blacks 24/7. Or you talk about gays 24/7 or something like that. I don't know. They're just not hearing. They do not have ears to hear. Yep. So let's get to some news. You guys can call in 1-888-775-3773. Hello. Who says that? Who's Lynchin? Hello, Lynchin. There you go, Lizzie. Do not use the word lame-o, kids. Hake, please don't sing again. Oh, before I get to news, I am remiss in not getting to the Super Chats. As I said, Super Chats came in on buymeacoffee.com/the Hake Report yesterday, and I didn't get to them. And I had time to get to them. Renesio bought a coffee. The violent femmes and the white hats are far super than us. Violent femmes. You referring to the band, or are you referring to? That's not that's not referring to an effeminate male who thinks he's a woman or plays like a woman or dresses like a woman. That's not that, is that? Or is that female who's, I don't know. And white hats. Why do I recognize that? Who's white hat? Is that UN or is that blue helmet? White hats. Like the good guys or something evil? I feel like white hat is a reference to something evil. Is that a band too, though? And oddly, he capitalizes the S in the word super, and I don't know if he means superior to us, but he says far super than us. I appreciate your broken English super chat, Renesio. That's the best I could do. And you may be right. some of my favorite bands were Violent Femmes when I was growing up, and Dead Milkmen. Goaty Hook. Anybody? There was this Christian band. The guy turned into an atheist called Calibretto. I really want to play some Calibretto for you guys, but I'm going to play Frodus today. And it's rough. It's really rough. So boomers and people who have delicate musical sensibilities, you don't have to listen to the top of the hour coming up here. But it's a song I really like. So do with it what you want. Carver bought a coffee. I'm going to buy Hake a coffee every week until he sits down and watches Shrek. Isn't that kind of giving me motivation not to watch it, Carver? If I'm a greedy white. But thank you, Carver. I just am anti-trendy. That's part of why I listen to underground Christian music, or not that underground. And then also, who's that band who died? Whose singer died? Hey Now. Never mind. Smash Mouth. Those two songs. Not I'm a Believer. Walking on the Sun. I mean, I'm sure if it's that popular, it must be all right. I feel like I did watch it. I don't know. Not sure. But thank you, Carver. It's kind of like it's an emergency. Hassan has a few movies that I gotta see. Like, it's an emergency. And a lot of them are movies that I've been wanting to see, really. Since childhood. A Nightmare Before Christmas. I like claymation. Claymation is so cool. Spoiler alert, bought a coffee. Google force definition, second definition. Okay, so force definition. Oh, this is a reference to the vax. Second definition, coercion or compulsion, especially with the use or threat of violence. They ruled by law and not by force. You've seen Rudolph, right? Yeah, I have. Yeah. The Abominable Snowman, is that in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Yeah, I love it. And then snow is just cool. Make someone do something against their will. Yeah. Because, we didn't tie them down and force the needle into them against their will. We just made it so that by their greed, we used their greed and fear and attachment to things. And their job, you won't work against them. Yeah, exactly. Spoiler alert. Shout out, man. Dan, he's my best moderator, I will have you know. Danimal bought 3 coffees. La, la, la. That might have been off key. It was. It felt wrong. Love your work, brother. Thank you, Danimal. Appreciate you, man. I love your work, too. I was going to call it Tabor. Tabor J. Eaton bought a coffee. Sorry if my coffee was too hot for Hake to read on JLP's show. Oh, are you saying that I skipped one? I skipped yours? I did not intentionally skip. Usually I'll just censor it in some way or other. I won't just entirely disregard it. I won't entirely ignore it. Maybe the Hake report can take the heat? Asks Tabor J. Eaton. I'll have to check, man. Man, okay. Whew, crazy. And then, spoiler alert, bought another coffee. Appreciate you, man. And he has an amusing side-by-side that he says, it's just for you, your eyes only. So, nice. Right on, man. Did you know, spoiler alert, with your coffee, do you want me to hide your comment or make it private? Because you can make your coffee private if you don't want people to even be able to go to buymeacoffee.com/thehake report and see your coffee and all that. But yeah, I did notice he has an interesting face. Looks somewhat like Asiatic. Interesting. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Why are his fingers laced like that? Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Over on D-Live, JJ Jean-Paul. James, did you say... I can't pronounce it this way. I'm going to call it Tucker Carlson last night. I saw a bit of it, or I saw the teaser, the trailer, the previews. Oh, he spells it with a. I'm not even going to use the letters, but thank you, Jean-Paul. I didn't sit down and watch it, but it was interesting, amusing. Tucker Carlson going there. That was a smart move, I suppose, business-wise, to get some attention. It was like a tabloid-ish. I kind of like his demeanor, Tucker Carlson's demeanor. I didn't really have a problem with it. It had to do with Obama and his past, and some guy didn't seem very masculine and manly. Saying something. Some people said something. But yeah, to answer your question, I did not watch it, but I caught wind of the mess. Greenblatt ADL organized a boycott of Twitter advertisers on Twitter the day Musk took over, and has cost Twitter/X over 60%, I think, of their revenue, says Asmodor in a hyperchat over on Odyssey. Elon says this is the most accurate analysis, and he shares a tweet from Mario Nawfal, and he debunks his claim. Wow, interesting. So I have to note that down to cover later. Appreciate that. Thank you for the tip there, Asmodor. I was listening to his show yesterday. Captivating stories on just falling into the wrong things from a young age by his older family members. Example. But it was still nostalgic and great imagery and scenery. So verbal imagery. It was cool. It captures the imagination. Nothing like radio, right? It's cool. All right. News. Time for news, because I got to keep on moving. Tom Brady has... This is stupid. Tom Brady has a new job at Delta Airlines. Common Nonsense Network CNN reports riddle time. This is not a report. Question. What does Tom Brady have in common with an airplane? Answer. They both make touchdowns. I laughed at it. Silly. You know, because an airplane touches down. Like American Anchor Baby, when it's functioning properly. Anchor Baby Airlines. Nick Stream touches down. And skids on the freeway. Just a touch. Smooth landing. Nice. And a touchdown is throwing a pass into the end zone and the person catching it or crossing the end zone with the ball. Nice. Well, right on, Tom Brady. We wish you well. He's that guy who was Trump's friend, right? And he is sort of protective of his career. Is that white greed? Protecting his career by catering to the very unchristian forces of so-called political correctness or whatever you want to call it. So sick. So wrong. Don't say that. Anyway. Let me get to, is this Richard in North Carolina? Suddenly it got deleted. Thanks, man. Richard in North Carolina, thanks for calling, man. How you doing?
What's up, Hake?
Hey. Oh, so long time no hear. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. I wanted to see what you think about Nikki Haley.
Were you boycotting Men's History Month or something? I don't think I heard from you.
I've been working at the Postal Service.
Oh, right
I was a federal employee, yeah.
Nice.
I was part of the evil state.
Right on. A light in a dark place.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, part of the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about Nikki Haley?
I think she's lame.
Yeah, I think she's a neocon warmonger.
Oh, really? She's a warmonger. We're referring, for those who don't know, Nikki Haley is part Indian, I think, or maybe she's entirely Indian. Anchor baby, I think, into America.
Yeah, she's born. Yeah.
Her parents were immigrants, were they? Or students here? Kind of like a...
They came over on a student visa, I think.
Oh, yeah. Just like that one guy, the Asian man who was running for... I use the term man loosely. Running for president.
Yang?
Yeah, Andrew Yang. His parents, I think, were students here, too. What a shame.
Yeah, he was the first gen, yeah.
She was, Nikki Haley, of all things, I think she was South Carolina governor.
Correct.
And she was so-called female governor. What happened to the South? Shout out to the South.
Did you see how she's the one that took down the part of the Confederate flag from the state flag?
Exactly, man. That's what I was getting to. That she was so-called governess. We should call her governess, right? During... Oh, man, stay close to your phone. Your phone's getting muffled.
Oh, sorry.
When Dylan, 2 N's, Storm, middle name, Roof, was doing his attack on the black so-called church and murdered those people, the mass murder of some blacks in a targeted, a targeted strike to start a race war, I guess. He didn't know that the race, as if he didn't know that the race war was already happening.
Yeah.
And there were pictures of him flying the Confederate flag, and evil Ta-Nehisi Coates said, "Oh, take down the Confederate flag, ban it." Ta-Nehisi Coates, some black writer, propped up writer on the Atlantic, and author, brainwashed his own son to fear imaginary racism when it's not even real. And so she kissed up to it, and she's a Republican. So
Rhino.
Yeah, total rhino. Trump got her out. Trump saved South Carolina from her. Is it North Carolina or South Carolina?
Oh, no, South Carolina.
Okay.
Not in North.
Because you're in North Carolina. He saved South Carolina from her. He saved them from themselves temporarily because they voted for her, right? I guess. And put her over in the UN. She's a UN ambassador. And now she's running for president against him.
Yeah. Hey, so did
and
you
she was a Trump hater before that, by the way.
Yes. Well, did you hear during the whole when they wanted to take down a Confederate flag? You know, there were black people who were marching for keeping a Confederate flag in full Confederate uniform from their ancestors that fought for the South, that were promised freedom if the Confederacy won.
I vaguely heard that before. Yeah, there's blacks who were for the Confederate flag. Give me a break.
Yeah, because it's history. Because it's a battle standard.
It's history.
It's not what people think it is.
It's history. It's appreciation for heritage. It's part of. They are our Southern brothers. We fought a war, or they fought a war to keep the country together, and now the evil people want to divide the country and call them losers and act like they shouldn't even exist or don't exist or whatever. And that's evil. This is America. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. And, America, and when people always say, oh, America still has slavery, blah, blah. Well, how many people died in the Civil War to end the debate about slavery?
600,000 people died in that so-called Civil War. More
than the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Twice them out of in the Vietnam War. And that's what pisses me off when people say, well, there's still slavery. I said, how many people died in the Civil War on both sides that settled this debate about slavery?
Yeah. How about a thank you rather than bitterness? So wrong.
No, anyhow. So
don't say pissed kids.
So you don't like Nikki Haley at all?
Right? Yeah, I know. It gets me riled when they talk about how even Amazon, evil Amazon, commie capitalist, so-called anti-American company Amazon banned this beautiful Confederate rebel flag paraphernalia. Our Southern brothers Shout out to the beautiful South.
I was going to mention one last thing.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did you hear about the California proposed bill that if you fight against rioters, you can spend time in prison?
I had not heard that.
If you're a business that tries to fight against people rioting or destroying your business, raiding it, you can be put in jail.
Whoa. Thank you for the tip on that. I had not heard that.
Yeah. It's of course it's proposed by a Democrat. I mean, no surprise there. I mean, that's all what California is.
Yeah, of course. Well, so I'll have to look into the details it's
a Senate bill.
What's the word? Nuance.
Yeah, new. all I know is it's a Senate bill. So it was
SB something.
to
California Senate bill outlawing fighting with rioters as
if you're a business
businesses.
owner and you try to stop people from either robbing or trying to destroy your business, you can spend 15 years in jail or something like that, and $20,000 for each occurrence.
$20,000. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. You're
That's
not allowed
ridiculous.
to protect your own business anymore without being punished.
What a mess. And that's wow. Okay. Crazy. Well, thank you for the heads up on that. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah. Good old California.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right. Take care, man.
All right, hey, you take care of yourself, all right? Stay safe, man.
Yeah, you as well. All right. Bye. Oops. I hung up on him just because I didn't want to get that click. That was maybe a bit abrupt. Appreciate you, Richard. Don't take that wrong. Crazy. What a mess. Okay. Another quick call from Daniel in Texas. I'm trying to write down these things because even though I write it down and then never look at it. But I will have it in my blog post so you guys can check it out. Daniel in Texas is on the line. Daniel, thanks for calling, man. What's up?
Thank you for having me. Good morning, James.
Yeah.
I can be quick about this.
No problem.
I agree with all the points that the caller that you just had said about the rebel flag and all that stuff. I get the tradition and all that.
Yeah.
But there is one thing that I can't abide, and that is this idea that there were black soldiers in Confederate uniform. This is a total myth. It's unfounded. There's nothing to support that there were black soldiers in Confederate uniform that fought for the promise of their freedom. I will tell you where this myth comes from. It comes from a time when Robert E. Lee had addressed the Confederate Congress with the provisions of resources, and one of the things that he had offered was perhaps it would be a good idea that if the North is going to use black soldiers, that the Confederacy also use black soldiers. And the Confederacy molded over and figured, the Confederate Congress figured, okay, well, we can do this, but we cannot promise their freedom. And Robert E. Lee was saying, well, if you do this, you will have to promise them their freedom. Otherwise, there will not be any reason for them to fight. Ultimately, it never went into motion, and it was kind of just something that was thrown out there to see what would stick, and nothing came of it. Now, that's not to say that there was never a black man that picked up the firearm against an encroaching soldier from the North.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there weren't slaves that may have picked up some rifles or that may have assisted with some of the military works and logistics within the Confederacy. But as far as a uniformed soldier in the Confederacy that was black, this is a total myth.
He didn't say they fought for the promise of their freedom. He just said that they fought and wore uniforms.
No, he did.
Oh, he did? I must have zoned out, which wouldn't be the first time.
But the point is,
terrible.
James, the point is,
Yeah.
it's not a far conclusion to say that that's what would have happened, because even Robert E. Lee was saying, if they are going to fight, you have to give them their freedom. You have to give them something.
But I don't know if I agree with that, because some of them didn't necessarily want to be free.
Well, you can take it up with Robert E. Lee.
Yeah,
you can take it up with Robert E. Lee.
Yeah. Robert E. Lee he wanted to get rid of slavery on the whole.
Didn't.
He kind of did.
He divided his loyalty four ways. Initially, it was to the United States, and then it was to his state of Virginia, and then it was to the Confederate Congress, and then it was to the slaveholding South. And his views on slavery was that if God wanted it to end, then it would naturally end. Well, it can go on forever if you look on it that way. But he was not anti-slavery.
But he called it a political and moral evil. And he saw that it was worse for whites than it was for blacks.
No, well, if he called it that...
According to Wikipedia, right? I read Wikipedia.
That doesn't sound right at all. I don't think he ever said that.
He might have written it to his wife. Right. It doesn't sound like him? Okay.
It doesn't sound like it at all. He saw it as a moral bastion. He saw it as a moral bastion. He saw that blacks were just not efficient enough to be on their own.
Right.
And he had very conventional views alongside the slaveholding South. And he had and within his conventional views, he had very moderate views about slavery. He figured, well, it would end naturally. It would end when the blacks would be able to take care of themselves. And then after the war, when he was asked about the blacks now having these additional rights, he said it probably isn't a very good idea. It's just going to be embarrassing for them.
Interesting. And he's kind of right about that in many ways.
I think the proof is in the pudding at this point.
You know, was he wrong that it would have ended naturally or diminished naturally? Because some of those slaves were buying their freedom and then enslaving others, and maybe some of them bought their freedom and didn't enslave any others. And was it on its way out? Because I heard from somebody, I thought I heard that it was on its way out already.
Slavery was largely out of step with the rest of the Western world. And there were slave nations. There was Brazil, there was Cuba. A lot of the Hispaniola places still had slavery. There were places that had abolished slavery in the Western world long before the United States, one of which was Mexico.
Right.
But Mexico had also changed hands many times in different regimes.
Yeah.
And at the point when it got rid of slavery was the same time when France had done that. Well, France held a large control over the Mexicans. But that doesn't mean that the Mexicans, personally did not have conventional views about slavery. And they did not like the French all too much.
Yeah.
The French thought that they liked them. They liked them well enough to rebel and kill them. But that's anyway.
And the French weren't that great and moral either, because that might have been around the time of the French Revolution when weren't they just chopping people's heads off sort of unjustly?
The French Revolution caused a big stir among monarchies around the world. That was when you didn't want to be a king.
Yeah.
That was the time when they rebelled, and it basically overthrew the monarchy, and it was essentially the beginning of the end of monarchies. And you could say that might have started with Charles Cromwell in England, but really the French Revolution is what kicked all that off. And then it wasn't so good to be king after that.
Yeah. Was that evil what they did? It seems like to me that was evil when they were chopping off the heads.
Well, a lot of the Jacobins also had their heads cut off. So there was an ebb and flow. The people cut off people's heads, and then the people who cut off people's heads got their heads cut off.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I know. Violence on many sides. That's the way of the world, huh?
Right.
Interesting, man.
But to go back to the slavery point.
Yeah.
Is it right or wrong? According to what was conventional at the time for a Southern person, God would see that it would either be ended or it wouldn't be. It was up to God. So that's the general idea.
Rather than us playing God by forcing the slave owners to get rid of them, the evil government doing that, in my opinion.
There was quite a few correspondences between landowners and when they're off to war or they're off doing business, and they're having conversations about what to do with some of the slaves that were violating some rules. Yeah. And there was a large understanding that times were changing, that there was a little bit more leniency to be had. These guys, some of these slaves had been doing it for their whole lives. They were old men now. You don't whip people like that. You just kind of forgive them. And that was generally what was going on during that time. That people were very benevolent. They weren't just, wholesale disciplining people all the time. And that was widely felt. early on in the construction of the Americas, it was a very bloody scenario, especially with the conquistadors. And so there's a lot of precedents that were set prior to everything that leads up to the Civil War.
Wow.
And by the time the Civil War happens, there's a little bit better of an understanding and a lot more limits to the amount of violence you would use to keep a population under control.
Okay. Wow.
But once it gets out of control, as we saw in Haiti in the late 1700s, there is no fixing it. It doesn't matter how many militia groups you send to that island that is now taken over by a slave revolt. They will be hanged. They will be slaughtered by machetes.
Right.
You cannot get it under control. Once you lose control, it's pretty much over.
It's a war. It's basically a necessary war, or like there's no solution, no peaceful solution, huh?
Well, what happens is you just never regain. The jungle takes it back.
Yeah.
If you build a flight line, if you tear down a jungle, you build a flight line, and you don't maintain the flight line for 50 years, the jungle takes it back.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with the way people are.
Wow. Yep. Yeah. It's kind of like what JLP says. Once you spoil the people by giving them their free stuff, they're never gonna let that free stuff go. They'll have a fit, and then they'll steal free stuff and just destroy and be out of control.
Yeah.
Sort of a similar situation.
And in the case of the Haitian slave revolt, France had continually sent armed forces to get it under control, and they were systematically killed every time they went.
Whoa. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What a mess.
So there's no saving it. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what the South and the North were trying to avoid. But they both had different opinions on how they would avoid that sort of scenario. In the grand scheme of things, I think they did manage to avoid it.
Nice. Well, I appreciate your call, Daniel. It's good to hear from you. And I'm impressed by your knowledge of stuff that's written down, known as history.
So that doesn't matter.
It's sort of interesting because you can relate to present day, and you can whether different things are true or not, you kind of can glean a lesson from some of these stories.
All right.
Nice, man. Thanks again.
Oh, okay. All right. Bye.
Bye. Daniel in Texas. I didn't know he knew that much. Okay, before I get back to calls, there is one line open there. The calls are smoking. Let me get to a song. How about we get to a song? I was going to get to Naomi Osaka, but that's going to take forever, knowing me. Terrible. Black Japanese female tennis player. So, again, this song is a track I really like, if you want to call it a song. I guess there's not much singing to it. It's more screaming in distorted audio. Okay? So, you musical Philistines, you can cover your ears, you can press mute, you can go outside, shovel snow, plant your garden, harvest your crops, rake your leaves, sling your cattle, filter your water or something, or boil it or whatever you need to do. Crack the whip. Keep a good attitude. This track is entitled, and it's a Christian song, okay? Year of the Hex by Frodus from the 1999 album, And We Washed Our Weapons in the Sea. I think it starts with the word and. Here it is, and I'll be right back for hour 2. Hang tight. trade love. So good. Trade love for dividends. Trade life for dividends. In the end, inherit nothing. Nothing burns like a heart for money. Don't be greedy. Beat them at every turn. I like the passion. Wicked and twisted. It's Christian. I like the bass. Hey, this stinks. It keeps getting worse and worse. I am Hake's scream for help. My throat hurts listening to this. Isn't the scenery beautiful if you're watching? There is no final word as long as you breathe, no final verse as long as you live, something like that. What a great song. Kind of sounds like Refused, somebody says. Well, thank you guys for bearing with me through that, in my opinion, beautiful music. Oh, I am remiss in not getting to the super chat from Gregatron on Streamlabs. Hake, first you censor trans people's faces, then you censor pregnant women's bellies, then you censor Arnold's chest, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now you're censoring a mildly attractive mom hugging her son. That kills me. Why not just show it and disavow it? Thank you, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ha 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 ha. Thank you, Gregatron. Appreciate you, man. I sometimes think of you. I'm going to show Naomi Osaka's pregnant belly uncensored, not on, well, kind of on purpose, but not, I meant to get to it. I just didn't get to it. So I'm going to be like grossed out. Terrible. Riley JM says, hey, Hake, have you ever listened to Rise Against? I don't think I have. I do not think I have, but thank you. Isn't Naomi Osaka the chick who cries? I don't know if she cries. She took a mental health break because she's great at tennis, I guess. But she's young and believes in Black Lives Matter nonsense and has a boyfriend and a daughter out of wedlock with him because she doesn't maybe know better. Spoiler alert, bought a coffee over on Ko-fi.com/The Hake Report. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Ko-fi. That used to be my preferred, but now I went back to buy me a coffee because somebody pointed out, I think it was spoiler alert, that during the month of June, Ko-fi, I used to call it Ko-fi, showed the fake rainbow flag thing on their logo. Even buy me a coffee didn't do that. So, Anyway, guys, thank you. Appreciate that. Before I get to Naomi, I got to get to Art in Ohio. He's on the line here. Art, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up with Hake?
Hey, chilling.
All right, last caller. I agree with him on some things, and I disagree with him on some things.
That's Daniel from Texas, the guy who talked about a lot about history, slavery.
Daniel from Texas.
Yep.
Okay, first thing first, Daniel should definitely know this thing, that you remember them old Indian movies or whatnot.
Like
correct? You remember
Cowboys and Indians type things?
Cowboys and Indians or whatnot. They used to have a lot of soldiers and stuff between the Union and the Confederates. And always on both sides, even when Art was a kid, my papa used to always watch them old flicks. You know, I couldn't sit around and watch them. I'd get bored. I couldn't get into all that black and white, pow, pow, boom, and the bow and arrows. That stuff wasn't appealing to me back in the day or whatnot. But my papa used to watch, and I used to see a little bit of it. So as I got older, I started hearing that the Confederates and the Union was using Indians or whatnot because they wasn't familiar with the land. You see what I'm saying? The Indians were more familiar with the land or whatnot, and they had a good fighting style that Confederates and the Union soldiers would felt that they were basically they could use their help. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
So I disagree with him on that, and that's why they were showing you in those flicks back in the day.
What did he say that you disagreed with?
Well, he was saying that, and I was using that. He was saying that there basically wasn't no black Confederates or whatnot, and I disagree with him on that. I feel like I have seen pictures of Confederates that dressed in. If I'm not mistaken, their uniforms is gray. Their uniforms was gray or something like that.
Yep.
Okay, I remember seeing some. If I'm mistaken or whatnot, I seen pictures of them in them uniforms, and I agree with him on the fact that he was saying that they were in basically. It wasn't a written down law or whatnot that they were indoctrinated into the Confederate. They didn't give them that. It wasn't written in paper, basically. I agree with him on that, but I disagree with him on the fact that I have seen them in uniforms or whatnot.
Okay.
The second thing is let's all use some common sense. Okay. Now, if the Confederates had slaves or whatnot, or if let's say they didn't have slaves and they were just trying to keep the blacks with the Confederates in the southern states. If I'm a Confederate, and I'm a white Confederate, and I'm getting my butt whipped by the Union, which is using blacks, you mean to tell me that I'm not going to use a resource, which is the blacks that are slaves, and I'm just going to keep using my white kids to get killed? Do that make sense to you?
Oh, right. I mean, there was a lot of loyalty among some of the slaves, I thought.
Exactly.
And also that was the life that they knew, and life in some ways was working for some of them, although I'm sure a lot of them would have wanted their freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my point exactly. You got a lot of the blacks that were down there that they liked how everything was set up. So you mean to tell me it wasn't some that would probably be like, or to be like, well, hold up, let me do what I can do to help. And they would want to go fight against the Union. That logically doesn't make no sense. You see what I'm saying? Now, I agree with him on the fact that he was saying they wasn't written into the whatever the Constitution or amendments that the Confederates had back in that time. But you can't make me believe that they wasn't using any of their Negro slaves or any of the Negroes that was on that land, and any of the Indians that were around and knew that land in that area better than the Confederates may have knew that land or whatnot.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't considered that there may have been Indian guides during the so-called Civil War.
Oh, it definitely was. This is well known history. But I just wanted to use that common sense logic or whatnot that you wouldn't just have, okay, well, I'm sending my white kids and myself off here to go fight the battle that I know we losing, and I'm just gonna leave all the Negroes back there around my wife and my other kids while we out here fighting and getting slaughtered.
Yeah. Of course they would use they would enlist. It would make sense to enlist slaves to go fight because you don't want to just sacrifice your sons only.
Yeah, exactly. Let alone, just like you said, it was some blacks that they just didn't like that lifestyle. The Confederates wasn't how the liberals in the Union was trying to make them seem like they were racist. The Confederates was basically trying to keep the big bankers out of their business. The big bankers was basically trying to monopolize them basically do what they doing right now or whatnot. Slowly but surely, what is led up to right now. That's what the Confederates was basically fighting against.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's pretty much all I had to say. I appreciate you for time. Anything you guys asking?
No, man, I appreciate it. It was interesting hearing you talking to the Jewish guy yesterday on American Anchor, baby.
Yeah, I wanted to ask him a couple more things, but I never really got around to really ask him or whatnot. But
yeah, well, it's hard to do that because it's easy to get stuck on a point and not move past a point, and then it was going along anyway because you were on the line even though you weren't talking the whole time for over a half an hour, and they were talking about other stuff and they had to just keep it moving. But I know how that can be. Just get hung up on something and don't even move past it, and then just get lost. Sometimes my interviews go that way with other people.
Yeah, and I was basically doing what Jesse was doing. I was basically looking for a yes or no answer, and I wasn't getting it. I was getting a lot of a running around in a circle, chasing the tail type of thing.
Yeah, a lot of times those guys sort of. It's not necessarily filibustering, but they answer in a way that's not really answering directly.
Straightforward.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. And I was about to say, I'm like this, just like I say about LeBron James. If you got to say that you the GOAT, then that means you ain't the GOAT or whatnot. Yeah. Michael Jordan, when he was playing, he never was out here saying, oh, I'm the greatest and I'm the best. Everybody already knew it. So when LeBron James comes in 2016, 2023, all this he the GOAT stuff, well, that ain't something that you can just come and say. We the people got to king and crown you that. You can't just come and say that or whatnot. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
It's basically being conceited. Me, Artie Art, coming on here and being like, oh, I know I look good instead of Sion saying Artie Art, he a handsome young fella. I like him. You see what I'm saying? Right. Exactly. Then I'm saying that to say that, I don't try to be all on that. Oh, I'm a black Hebrew Israelite and this and this and this and that or whatnot. Because just like I agree with y'all, if you got to keep saying it, then that's
insecurity.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's relying on the physical situation as to prop up your false sense of pride, for sure.
And hey, you know who the IUIC people are?
IUIC?
Yeah, that's the Israelite group to be wearing the purple and stuff.
Oh.
They always be free. The Israelite dudes always be. As a matter of fact, Jesse Lee Peterson interviewed one.
Okay.
So check this out. I noticed they always be saying that the Mexicans and the Africans and all these the Cubans and all these other Trinidadians, they all Israelites, and I want to go to say no, they are not. It's only the Israelites and the tribe of Judah and all the 12 tribes, they scattered all through the earth. But they're not understanding that when a lot of them slaves were going over to to down there in Mexico and all these other lands or whatnot with the conquerors or whatnot, your Spanish conquerors and the English people, they was bringing the Negro slaves or whatnot. When them little countries or whatnot ran those conquerors off, they killed a lot of them slaves. That's where a lot of those bones are coming from. That's in those Mayan temples or whatnot. Those are a lot of those Negro slaves.
Wow.
Let alone that most of the Mexicans don't got curly hair as far as woolly hair like the Negroes would have or whatnot. And then if they were having all these babies with these so-called Negroes, why ain't they having? Why when they coming over here to America, they ain't doing it right now?
It's not as frequent. It's far more common to be white Hispanic than black Hispanic.
Exactly. They tend to stick with their tribe. So if they wasn't doing it, if they ain't doing it right now, then they wasn't doing it back then. Just like I said, they ran those conquerors off. When they ran the conquerors off, they killed a lot of those Negro slaves that was on that land. So I go to say that the IUIC, these Israelite dudes, is trying to claim everybody as Israelites when they're not or whatnot.
Oh,
and
okay. So the Mexicans are not part of the tribe of Gad or Asher or whatever.
No, they're not, man.
Okay.
It's only a handful of them. And truth be told, I really think that this is a part of them. They using them, the IUIC, them Israelite dudes, as part of a way to basically bring a lot of these foreigners over here. They basically acting like Catholics.
Oh, I see it as teaming up against the whites. It's like everything but the whites, and maybe the Asians.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. But you watering down with the tribe of Judah is, and
right. True point.
You gonna have to answer for it. Father God gonna make you answer for it or whatnot. But God bless you, Hake. I'll catch you later, my brother. And shout out to the chat, Jesse, Nick, and all the rest of you. I'll catch y'all later.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Art in Ohio. Whew. William in California's been on hold for a bit here. William in California, thank you for calling and holding, man. What is up?
Not that long. How you doing, number 5?
I'm doing fine. 005,
All right.
He calls me. I forget why I'm
That's
number
right.
5.
Huh?
I forget why I'm number 5.
Because I'm 003.
Okay, nice.
And we're both agents
Nice.
of good.
Hopefully that's not a hate number.
No, never that.
Right on.
Good call, Art. Very
Yeah.
good call. And Dan, too, in Texas. Very good call.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Yep.
Very.
He's a
where's that
sober-minded
Confederate
guy.
flag? Yeah. Where's that Confederate flag?
The beautiful rebel flag is underneath this Continental Soldier, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I cover it up oftentimes, but YouTube still strikes me anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter much.
Yeah.
Some people are some people are conditioned, well, I'll call it, that's a nice way of saying they're brainwashed, to recoil at the sight of this thing. They think it's a hate thing. They think they should just write me off as a hateful person. And it's not. It's beautiful.
Not. Yeah.
It's interesting because they're the ones.
It means. Yeah.
They're oftentimes the ones who are hating, but actually both sides are hating both sides. So it's kind of unnecessary drama.
The South was fighting for quite a few things. I mean,
indeed.
Number one, the cotton. They wanted to keep it private, and the North wanted to industrialize. Yeah. And to industrialize means that slaves have to be freed or whatever, and they'll have nothing to do. But the narrative of a lot of blacks did not want it. Like Dan said, a lot of these guys were getting really old in age, and the blacks did not want to be moved in this, out of the situation they were in. Most of the blacks did want to be freed, of course. But it actually comes down to, like, the civil rights shouldn't have been put upon us the way it was, because segregation probably was going to end anyway. And that's where the problem comes in, when you force something on people.
Right. It's that mama spirit.
Right. You force it on people.
It just spreads resentment.
Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of these things that we're going through right now, reparations and is nothing but a source of revenge.
Yeah.
Evil revenge and resentment.
Yep.
And what's that? Redistributing the wealth and closing the wealth gap.
Yeah.
Is that's something that's not going to happen. You have to get up and get your own.
Yeah, reality will never, ever bear that out. That's true.
No.
Even if
they're all going to,
even as much as they may try and bring a whole lot of evil and destruction in trying to do that, it's not going to happen. It's not actually going to happen.
A lot of people that say these things are people that don't have anything.
I sometimes think that the people who are pushing that, some of them know better, know that it's only going to cause more problems, and they can say, there's a problem.
They know better, yeah.
They know that they're going to swoop in with even more problems. More government, always the answer. These women, female-minded thinking.
Remember when I told you I do attend like every 5 years or so the black and white ball.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Put on a tuxedo.
Okay.
And put on my tuxedo and get a date and walk the red carpet and get out of the car like you're somebody. I did go to those things because there's a lot of, a lot of people you may want to see and know or pick their brain. And I do have a picture that I was looking in the garage. I said, I remember this. In the background is all of them. I told you before, all of them. Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Willie Brown, a hanger-oner called Kamala Harris with Willie Brown. You see how you see these things like 30 years ago, and now you see these people are still in office overdoing it.
Yeah. Getting worse. They're getting worse, too.
Yeah. I haven't talked to you since the long holiday, but we had some out-of-town guests. But nobody talked to me about the blue moon, but I'm going to give a shout-out to Matt living the American dream.
Nice.
I told him, I said, man, I got 2 telescopes out in front of the house, man, and I'm telling you, I put the electronic stargazer on it, and it looked gritty. And I was trying to take a picture of it within the telescope with my phone, and it came out gritty, but you know what it did? It looked really good with the naked eye.
Okay, cool.
Because it's 37% closer to Earth is why it looks bigger.
That was the blue supermoon, or super blue moon, that happened.
The next one's 14 years. The next one's 14 years from now, but it's 30. I think it's 37% closer to the Earth is the reason why it looks bigger. And it actually looks better without the telescopes, with the naked eye.
Nice.
It was beautiful.
Cool.
Shout out to Matt the American and all of the horsemen out there. We're out there riding the election and when's the next debate?
Oh, I don't even know. That's funny. It's a funny question.
I know Nikki Haley's fell off, and I mean, I'm really very just kind of not settled on a VP. Just not settled on that yet. I heard somebody mention suggesting Cornel West. I haven't heard that name in 2 months, and that's not going to happen.
Oh yeah.
That's delusional.
Did I hear that? Was that on the Hake? Was that on Hake, or was that?
Try to join.
Was that Anchor Baby or Hake that somebody suggested that?
I think it was your show. I was like, what? Where'd that come from?
Oh man, that's funny.
No, you cannot join the winning side because you know you're losing.
That's funny.
And I had a friend of mine come over, and he arrived in an Uber, and as the car door opened, his driver was just going off on him. And he said he was just, and she was a woman, and she was attacking men, basically. I said, what did this woman do to you? Man, this woman is crazy. She was attacking men and everything. She said she's a carpenter and everything, and women can do everything men can do. And he said, lady, can you take a sheetrock up some swirling stairs by yourself, put it down, and drive 30 nails? Can you drive 30 nails without bending them? You might be in the trades.
Pretty much only a man can do that. And not all men can even do that.
Even the trades, and there's people listening on the phone that are in the trade, they know those women on those jobs, that's subsidized because when they build those skyscrapers, there's a time, you have a certain amount of time to build that building, and they all come under late fees. and they're in the millions. And if you multiply all of the adjustments that you have to make for women on the job, they'll take the apprentice, replace him, put him where she's supposed to be for the physical stuff, then pull him back downstairs into the hole to do the physical labor. And that's just for them to keep up with the men. And they got into it and everything. I said, man, just leave her alone. Just leave her alone.
Yeah.
She's not going to agree. But
what a mess. Kind of reminds me of like the NBA, the WNBA. They lose like 10, they lose
want
10 billion
NBA salary. Yeah, they said they want NBA salary, and if you
Women's
ever
soccer.
look at if you ever looked at an WNBA game,
I try not to. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I'm like,
it's terrible. It's bad.
Yeah.
And there's only 3,000 people in the stand. It's terrible. You're not going to get NBA money because you don't draw NBA money, and you're only getting subsidized by the NBA.
Yeah.
So, no, we won't be having any Cornel West. That guy is straight up communist. He likes to say he's an independent, and the way I look at independent people, you are basically a coward. You just don't want to admit that you're far left.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's all it is. No, just because you don't want to admit that what you are, that's fine. But how many independents have you known to win the White House?
Nobody has. One rich guy got not even close.
Nominated, I think.
He just did pretty well. He did remarkably well, but not even he wasn't even really close. That one funny guy. Ross Perot, was he the one who did the best?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They never really do anything. I mean, like I said, you're either trying to keep from being called a rhino or a lefty. That's why they say independent. Because they pretty much don't know anything about politics, so they'll just say, throw that up in the air. I'm independent. So you don't have to be responsible for the stuff that happens. But we are going to be okay. We're going to keep our country. And shout out to the men out there. We had a good month last month. It's History Month. I meant to ask you about David in Ocala. We've had some storms down there. We haven't heard from him. Is he okay?
Oh, I don't know. I assume so, because he can be kind of funny. But
he's up there.
Yeah.
He's right there where that stuff
Ocala, Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe he's just busy, man. People get busy.
Get busy.
Especially with that. Maybe he has to
make some adjustments.
Checking in with Hake isn't the first on his list.
That's correct. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. That goes for everybody. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I think the scenario that I heard 2 weeks ago on the under with somebody that kind of knows, he says, man, it's either the projects, because they keep talking about these homeless people, and it's a shame what happened to Big Bump. Homeless ladies threw something at her.
Food thrown at him, yeah.
Yeah.
Or a mint.
I kind of believe that that's where they're headed. It's either housing projects, but there's no room to put them anywhere in the inner city anymore. They're probably going to throw out some housing projects somewhere in the desert somewhere and put them out there in the Dust Bowl and let them be, because they just can't continue to be like that with the way it's going right now.
True.
Because they're just getting too close to people. And it's not anybody's fault that you don't have anywhere to live.
I know it's kind of your own fault, and then also, I mean, they haven't really made it conducive for. I mean, they undermine by subsidizing housing. You're making housing more expensive, and that's what these liberal areas do. It's sick.
Eric Adams. Is that Eric Adams in New York?
Yes.
The mess that's being created up there by sending all of the people from the border up there, it's perfect. Put them up there. Put them in the cities. Put them directly in the cities. That's what you voted for.
Right.
So put them there. And it's turning their cities upside down even more than they have been already. But put them where they got to go. Put them where they got to go. Because, I mean, eventually, was it a year or so ago, or, I mean, a year or so from now, there are going to be a lot of those people going back. You know that, James. Going back.
That'd be nice. That would be great.
I can't. Hey, we can't afford them. Your
Yeah.
taxes are going to go up because you got to feed them. And just like that lady cab
Gotta
driver,
feed
she goes,
them.
well, you know, this used to be Mexico. I said, it's not anymore.
You know, some people create value and other people drain value. Isn't that a shame? That's why bringing a baby into the world, bringing a baby into the world isn't necessarily selfish. It's not necessarily messing up resources. If you raise the baby right, it can add to the world and be a benefit to the world rather than
raise it yourself.
A degrading part of the world. We have to feed them.
Raise it yourself.
Yeah, true. But
Raise
thank you,
it
William.
Yourself.
It's great to hear from you, man. Take care.
You too, man. You take it easy.
All right. David, speaking of David in Ocala, Florida, on the line. What's up, David? How you doing, man?
Well, I was just hanging out listening to you, and I heard him mention me and with the hurricanes and all that, and I thought that was really cool of him to bring that up. So I wanted to let you know I'm all right.
Right on, man. That's cool.
I've been listening to the shows and everything, and one of the reasons why what telepathically with William and I, what it is when he brought up that 427 engine about a week or so ago, he's going to sell to his brother. I built my first engine, man, when I was 15 years old, and it was a 327. Okay.
Wow.
And and it was so William, I know this. I won't get too deep into it, but it was bored out 60 over with 11-to-1 pop-up pistons in it, which I know that's way over your head, but he'll understand that. Okay. So one of the greatest days of my life is I drove that car to my high school. Okay, totally illegal. I just got the motor running. I got straight headers, no exhaust system to give this kid a ride that had been teasing me.
Okay.
And I'm lucky I didn't kill us. Okay.
That's pretty funny, man.
Yeah, it was a 3,000-pound car with about 400 horsepower in it, with what's called a Muncie 4-speed. This car, when I got older, like in the last few years, I told my parents, I said, how in the world did you let me have this car? You know, I really should have hurt somebody in it, and specifically myself.
Wow.
Right? And what brought this all to my memory and everything, the only race I ever lost with that car was to a 427 Corvette. And I hung with him in first and second, but he left me in third and almost got sideways and almost wrecked his car. And William will remember this. They had a bunch of these light yellow 427 Corvette convertibles for some reason around 65 and 66. They were very expensive cars, and they were just deadly, okay, because people would roll them, and they had no roof. So anyway, but I got lucky. That hurricane went about 150 miles, 175 miles north of me, maybe.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So you're fine.
Yeah, but I got some wind. But if it would have turned in, and then there's another one coming. There's a Lee, but they say it's going to, tail off to the west. So It's a bummer living with these things.
Oh yeah, Lee, Hurricane Lee. Is that what the one that you just mentioned?
Yeah. Here, let me just, because I wrote a couple things down from the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Some of the people in the chat have brought up, that's what they brought up, that William sounds like somebody. I mean, I've literally watched somebody write in there, he sounds like somebody, like they're trying to figure out who they think he sounds like.
Uh-huh.
And I think he sounds like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, he's that black astrophysicist or something, and he's a liberal.
Well, I'm not saying he's that.
No, but
liberal.
But that's who that is. That black astrophysicist guy, and he has a relative. I don't think of him as sounding as deep voiced.
He just sounds similar.
Okay.
They're both very intelligent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's got that intelligent. Then he brought up some black women about a week or so ago.
Uh-huh.
And here's one for you, William. Remember Jane Kennedy? Okay. Yeah, you look. Yeah. Oh yeah. She was a sports announcer from the late 70s. Man, she was beautiful. Jane Kennedy's her name. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So y'all were talking about black women. So
Yeah.
Well, and the other reason I haven't called you is because, I usually call you early.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, I know, if I don't have enough time to talk with you, I really just don't want to, I see how, it's the timing and everything like that. So it's not that I'm not listening to your show or anything like that. It's just, I know sometimes you don't have enough time,
Yeah.
because of your show, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got respect for you. I appreciate you letting me call you up. So
nice, man.
Let me ask you this. Can I call you back one day and just tell you this incredibly funny story? Okay? Can I do that one day?
Of course.
Okay, well, that's what I'll do. I got this for you. It's going to blow your mind. It's one of the best stories I got, okay?
Right on, man. Sounds good,
All right.
dude. All right.
Keep pressing on, man. Keep up the good work.
Same to you.
All right?
Be careful out there.
And Son, congratulations, young man. I hope everything works out great for you, buddy.
Indeed. Wow, Hassan.
All right. Yeah, y'all take care.
You as well, man.
All right, buddy. Bye.
Bye. Wow, Hassan. Walking on Water Hassan. He interviewed a Jewish guy, a Jewish pal of his. That was cool. Hassan, did you want to comment on your little show that you had there yesterday? Wow, Walking on Water Hassan on YouTube.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, shout out to the Jews, shout out to everybody.
Are you really part Jewish?
I mean, I believe Mama, so I'm gonna say yeah, but
so did who's that Massachusetts woman? Pocahontas.
Exactly. But
her mama told her that she's part Indian. Go ahead.
I think 1 week is good for me. My Jewish days are over.
Right on, man.
But it was nice, and it was nice that Anchor Baby kept it rolling.
Yeah, the American Anchor Baby annexed Hassan's guest and kept him on for 2 more hours. In studio guest.
Yeah, it was nice.
An Orthodox Jewish musician.
Yeah, and franked them in here.
Joshua, what was his name? Joshua Engelson, something like that, or Josh Engelson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was asking him the tough questions. So shout out to Anchor Baby, and shout out to Josh for being open about the Talmud, about
it's Talmud.
There you go.
He said the tall. It has to say tall, not tal.
Oh, that's what he said?
Yeah. That's what I picked up.
Oh, nice.
I could have picked it up wrong.
No, I wasn't paying attention at all.
Talmud or Talmud, but tall.
Nice.
According to him. See it right.
Tall latte.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
I mean, people know what you're talking about, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, so Wow Hassan on YouTube, Walking on Water Hassan, all one word, is the YouTube URL, youtube.com/@ Walking on Water Hassan. 2 S's in Hassan. Okay. Hang tight, callers. I will get to you, okay? I got to get to this, though. Otherwise, not going to happen. And I've been teasing it forever. Naomi Osaka, I have like 100 photos of this. And, of course, that's an exaggeration. The far-left commie nonsense network, CNN, reported Naomi Osaka, tennis player, announces a return to professional tennis in 2024 AD. And I braved, that's the Brave browser rather than Googled. I braved Naomi Osaka husband. She doesn't have a husband. The 4-time #1 Naomi Osaka, black Japanese gal, who welcomed a baby girl out of wedlock with rapper Corday. I guess it's how you say his name. He's 25, she's 25. At least he's not younger than her, at least not by too much. In July, had a baby in July. She said apparently that she intends to, she was number one, intends to return to professional tennis in 2024 AD. Oh, there is by the way, to answer, this is a complete side note. Republican National Committee will hold its second primary debate September 27th at Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California. Is that up in Simi Valley? beautiful area, I think, if it's this place. I feel like there was a prom there somewhere when I was in high school. I was part of the non-prom party. We just hung out at, anyway. New York Times, nice. So September 27th, probably going to be boring. I don't know, maybe it's not. So, yeah, let me tell you about this gal. Here she is. Oh, that's her and her boyfriend. There's these young whippersnappers with their wild, goofy style. At least it's not all that slutty, you know? So don't say that word, kids. Who is Naomi Osaka's girlfriend? All about Corday. He's a rapper. She renounced... Okay, let me just kind of go into this. Okay, so she's currently dating this guy, but she had a baby by him. And they've been dating since like 2019, or at least publicly. He's close friends with Michael B. Jordan, by the way. Been together publicly. They attended the Met Gala, that degenerate Met Gala where male actors dress up in dresses. But anyway, they didn't do that. So that's good, at least, right? He was part of the hip-hop group YBN, whatever that is. Close friends with Michael B. Jordan, that buff guy who plays Apollo Creed's son in those movies, those spin-off movies of Rocky. I think the latest installment doesn't even have Sylvester Stallone. Anyway, Michael B. Jordan looks kind of like Joel Friday to me, a little. Maybe not. They welcomed their first child, a daughter, in July 2023, and no shame about it. They're not married, but both parents. And he has this boyish face, and she looks like a little girl to me, but they're 25. Or I don't know, maybe this picture in 2019 was 4 years ago, so they were 21. But they look like children to me. Okay, they don't look like children, but just baby-faced adults. Yeah, she's like a world-class tennis athlete. For a girl, I don't know how she would compete against men. But, you know, for a young lady, talented black Japanese gal. Okay, so what else? Oh, he's a rapper. There's a picture of him rapping. Grammy-nominated rapper, collaborated with her. Is it H-E-R or is it her? And Young Thug. I had never even really heard of him, but he's a millionaire. I mean, I guess it doesn't take much to be a millionaire. $1 million is not that much money anymore, right? He's supportive. Oh, this one is funny. Number 5, he's supportive of Osaka's mental health. Because this gal, I've been going after her ever since she wore those masks. I think I cheered her on when she beat one of the Serena and Venus Williams sisters. She beat one of them. Her dad was inspired by their dad, and he fashioned his coaching of her after his coaching of them. You know, the Williams sisters, the black gals. And they are ladies. Anyway. So I was kind of pleased because, you know, these blacks, including her, though, she's part black, right? She falls into this fake racism notion. She can't help it. She's young and brainwashed and all that mess. She's been open about her mental health journey. Oh, terrible PDA. Oh, I should have censored that. He's like necking her. I don't know what necking means, but it's funny how he looks like he should be fat, but he's actually relatively lean. Something about his face looks, like he has baby fat on his face. Anyway, she's been open about her mental health journey because I guess she's not a Christian maybe. And so she believes in mental health. And so she's mentally ill or whatever. She can't handle the stress and stuff, even though she has both parents, by the way. I think father's black, American, mother's Japanese. And then she renounced her American citizenship. I'll get to that. In 2020, he dropped everything to quarantine with her at the U.S. Open after she called him from the event. Oh, terrible. Oh, what, she got China virus? I FaceTimed him a couple days early and said I was feeling sad and lonely in the bubble, she wrote on IG. Unbeknownst to her at the time, Corday then boarded a flight and quarantined in a hotel to be with her. Nowadays, these young men We use the term loosely. He didn't watch much tennis before dating Osaka, so now he pretends to be all into tennis, or he is all into tennis now. Anyway, whatever. They have a baby girl. They show the ultrasound. Naomi Osaka is one of those people, one of those young Zoomers or young millennials who post everything on Hake. Censor this, please. They post everything on their IG. Show this baby together, baby girl number 7. Posting this. What is that? Oh, that's an ultrasound, right? You see the child inside the womb thing. She's with child. Oh, this one is terrible. Cover your eyes. Cover your eyes. People who are anything like Hake. And go to number 8. Cover your eyes now. Oh! I have like 3 different pictures of this, but she's showing her naked belly underneath the shirt. Oh. She posted that on her IG. And all the women are doing this, so you can't really fault her, I guess, because she doesn't know better or think for herself. And I don't even know if there's such a thing. But that's terrible. Okay, next one. He and Osaka work out together, Corday. Oh, come. See, isn't it odd? Isn't it kind of surprising how skinny he is and lean, I guess? He looks like a high schooler, but then his face is, yeah. And then she's doing a selfie. Embarrassing. Any of you guys work out with your girlfriends? Baby mama? Oh my gosh, who cares? It's Charlie Church. Okay, he's into fashion. Oh, I guess I shouldn't do that because Hassan may be a fan. That's kind of cool style, huh? Or no, Hassan? What do you think? Yeah, thumbs up. I wouldn't do it. But hey, whatever. Okay, yeah, there he is. This is a funny picture. He won an Emmy because he did a musical collab for We the People, an animated TV series executive produced by Barack and Michelle Obama. The Obamas congratulated him for the Emmy. We're so proud. And look at him. He's taking a picture of somebody's taking a picture of him, and he has these dyed, bleached braids or whatever you call these things. Shout out to the blacks. See, and doesn't he look sort of fat here? He looks fat here, sort of. Or just round, pudgy. And he's holding up the Emmy, but he has his face down, all serious. Like, this is sort of that typical shyness, almost like a humble brag. I don't like that term, humble brag. But it's kind of, he's all proud of it, so he's showing it, but he's putting his face down because he's kind of, you feel like an idiot. He knows he's wrong. Showing it off. Kind of. Nice Crocs, says Carver 531. I guess those were Crocs. Yeah, dreads, or they're dreadlocks. Okay, so here's the father. We'll plow through the rest of this, and then I'll get to calls. All about Naomi Osaka's, look how dark black he is. That's how she's, turns out, not all that light-skinned, somewhat light-skinned, lighter skinned than him. Leonard Francois and Tamaki Osaka. I think he might have gotten his wife pregnant or the woman pregnant out of wedlock. Go to the next one. Leonard and Tamaki met in Japan. Did they get pregnant out of wedlock? Is that why she has the mother's name, Osaka, rather than Francois? Francois? Is it Francois or Francois? Look at the gal, the mama, and the black. So he was like in the military or something? I forget. Whatever. Oh, and they were secretly dating, and the parents were all mad. Oh, they were Dior Birkenstocks, is what Hassan is pretty sure, not Crocs. LOL, lots of laughs. But Crocs are high fashion. Or they're all the rage anyway. Not high fashion. Her father tried to arrange a marriage for her, but she's like, oh, I'm with this black dude. And he got mad. You're excoriating her for bringing disgrace on the family, according to the New York Times. See, those Japanese don't like. I don't know if it was over interracial marriage that he was that the mother's father was mad, Japanese mother's father was mad, but oftentimes they don't like that. Naomi's parents helped her decide to represent Japan in the Olympics. She gave up her U.S. citizenship in October 2019. Oh, really? 2019? In order to represent Japan in the 2021 Summer Olympics. So she renounced her citizenship, and then she still had the gall to protest this fake Black Lives Matter mess in 2020, I feel like it was. Maybe it was in 2019. Remember she wore that? Oh, yeah, it was 2020 because why else would she be wearing a face mask, a China virus mask? Breonna Taylor, these other fake victims, right, of fake Black Lives Matter martyrs, you know? She previously shared how much she is involved in her home country of Japan's culture. You're also involved in degenerate anti-American American culture. I judge her. Leonard was inspired by Richard Williams. Here's the little scene, because he's kind of like her. That's enough. That's enough. Let's get to that. Oh, show one more picture. Pregnant gross. Ugh! Corday put his face against her pregnant belly on a picture, on a photograph. See, can't you see, Gregatron, why I would censor that? Gross. Okay, take that down, and I'm gonna move on. Move on, Hake. LOL, lots of laughs. Trick is in Montana. Thank you for holding, Trick. What's up, man?
Not much. Just decided to listen in today, and
thank you.
Was blessed hearing William and David. I love those two callers of yours. I like listening to those fellas.
Nice.
And,
cool.
So I said I'd call in, and I had, based on what something William said, but I got a couple of political comments to make, too, and I'll be quick.
Okay.
You know I'm quick. So I was around, my dysfunctional low IQ vets hanging out. We got done hiking, fishing, and we started talking about women's rights stuff and sports and equal rights. And one of the vets we were talking, basically the same thing William was saying. And one of these vets looked at me and he says, I'd rather get poked in the eye with a sharp stick than watch women's basketball. Oof. And I said, man, that's hardcore, bro.
That is.
But, he was kind of exaggerating, but he was making a point. It's boring to watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can appreciate some of the skill and, you do activities because you want to do them, but there's no equivalency. It's just a fact.
Right. It can be, some of them can be mildly entertaining or amusing to watch, like, hey, not too bad, gal. You almost hit
That's
like
right.
a man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you can appreciate skills of people who are good in their sport, but when they try to have an equal-based outcome based on it's the same, come on, you're smoking crack. That's crazy.
Equal pay and all that.
People know it. Yeah.
Give me a break.
So I just appreciate William having the guts to say that, and I appreciate the dysfunctional low IQ vet stating it the way he's stating it, because I said I wouldn't want to be poking out a sharp stick, but I think it's boring, in my opinion. So, anyways, interesting that William brought that up. The other thing, a couple things I wanted to say to you politically that I think are interesting. One of them is you mentioned Nikki Haley, and I was out at some fights in Montana watching this friend of mine fight. And I hadn't watched the news in a while, but I seen her going off on, I like this Vivek dude. I really like him. I think he's smart.
Oh, okay.
And
he is pretty smart.
Yeah,
I will
and
give him that for sure.
Smart guy, no doubt. But Nikki is going crazy, and she's so angry, and she's saying, "You don't have foreign affairs experience like I have." And you know what scared me, Big Jim Hake, on this is she's aligning with the Biden administration in these issues of war, and I'm like, okay, she's got to see that she can't be lining up with Biden in wanting to drag us into World War III, which will, could happen after this next election. And Vivek is more nuanced than her. He's smarter than her.
Yeah.
And so she's going off on him, and she's got all this foreign affairs experience. And I'm calling total BS on this.
Bogus speech?
Sitting at some meetings, acting like you know what went on with Russia during Napoleon and Hitler and why they have some of the views they have, not defending Vlad Putin, but I don't think she's studied at all on this issue. So I just thought, what I came away from there is thinking, if Uncle Donnie got in getting Vivek as a VP, or if it's DeSantis grabbing Vivek, I don't think he'll get the nomination, but he's wonderful to hear, in my opinion.
Yeah. You know, one of my callers, and I forgot to follow up or for explanation, called her a warmonger, a neocon warmonger.
Yep.
What
she is.
Explain.
And she doesn't know what that is, but she is one. That's a smart caller.
Yeah. Explain.
Yeah. Well, you know, the funny thing is, another one of my good friends who's not a low IQ, that he's a Vietnam guy. He's actually a brilliant guy. He was on Wall Street. People don't understand that neocons love war, and so do left-wing progressives, because the welfare and warfare state go hand in glove.
Wow.
And so what happens is a girl like Nikki aligns with the progressive left on these issues of war, where guys like RFK and Tulsi Gabbard on the left are more sensible, and they sound like Uncle Donnie Trump. He doesn't articulate it well, but Vivek does.
Yeah.
And so she is a warmonger, and she's got this idea. I know this PhD babe here in Montana. She talked about being outside the wire in Afghanistan, and I was outside the wire. I said, "You crazy? You were never outside the wire." But Nikki's talking about, she thinks she knows these issues, and she was, you know what scared me about her? You could see the rage in her. She wasn't debating logically.
Right.
Vivek was a cool cat, and she's like raging, like, you know, someone took my favorite restaurant away from town. She just looked like a baby to me, and a raging girl.
Funny,
yeah.
Man.
So that caller's right, because if we get a neocon, and there's degrees of that, like everything else.
Right.
But if we get a neocon, or Biden or a progressive gets in, we're going to be in a war. And Trump kept us out of it.
Right.
And Hillary would have brought us into it. So that, that's my opinion on that situation. But can I make one more comment? Because I don't want to take up too much time.
Yes, please. Real quick, go. Yep.
Yeah, Newt Gingrich said something a couple weeks ago, and I heard from a dysfunctional buddy, and he goes, Obama's behind all of this, with what's going on with the shenanigans with Russian collusion and all of this stuff going on. Newt Gingrich came out and said that, and I said, I believe that. I think the guy real pulling the strings and influencing in an inordinate way, and I can spell that word, is Barack Obama. That's my opinion.
Him, so Obama, or the Obama team? Because is Obama really that smart? Maybe he is, but is he really that clever?
No, but people swoon over him. And when I found out what went on with GPS Fusion and Steele and this Coy Perkins law firm, and all this is known now. This isn't a dysfunctional low IQ vets know it in Montana. Everyone knows it who reads. So it is his team, but he's, people swoon at him like, oh, Barack, he's the great savior.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's got a team around him. I don't think he's too smart, actually. I don't think he is. So, I think your point's right. He's got a team of whoever.
Right.
But Newt said it. I was surprised Newt said it. And it takes some guts to say that, and I believe that.
Nice.
So
interesting, man.
Anyways,
I appreciate Newt sometimes. That's cool.
I do too. I like Newt.
Yeah.
I like Newt. I think he's a Catholic, which I don't believe in following the Vatican, but
Right.
I'm not against Catholics, but I don't like religious hierarchies in charge of constitutional Americana. That's just my opinion.
Same.
As a low IQ vet.
Nice.
So, anyways, great. Thanks for taking my call. Rob, William, and David. They're awesome dudes, man.
Cool. Great to hear from you, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Have a good one.
You as well. Bye. Guys, this has been the Hake Report. Last quick super chats. Thank you to Lin Yen Chin for the super chat over on Streamlabs. And thank you to the spoiler alert tip. I appreciate that, and I will heed that for both of you. Appreciate it. And spoiler alert, bought another coffee. Japan is the next target for ethnic cleansing. They're using/promoting Naomi Osaka to help this process. Whoa. Interesting theory, man. Terrible. And let me just double check over here. I think we're all clear. Thanks again for all the support, guys, and for listening. This is Clucking Theodore by Mary Rice Hopkins. Here it is. Bye. I'll hang out. So good. She's a great songwriter and a woman.
Every morning at 3:45, I'd look out my window and there was Theodore. He was sitting there clucking, keeping real good time. I think my mom was losing her mind.
Mr. J, Hassan didn't read my super chat yesterday, beta. Maybe he'll get to it next week.
Well, Theodore was loads of fun to have around. I put a leash on him, and he followed me to town.
Nice.
No other chicken could cluck quite like him. He'd come up for some air, and then he'd start again.
She's so good at writing this stuff. So silly. It's a children's song. It's Christian. Mary Rice Hopkins.
One day I came up with a fantastic plan to charge people to hear him and open up a stand.
Hey, that money.
Drive miles to hear my Theodore. Now my mom never complains anymore.
Hey, bet she doesn't. That's funny. What a great song. I try to get up every morning at 3:45 because of this song. Every morning at 3:45. Well, bye, guys. Okay. I'm getting scrutinized. Isn't this beautiful scenery? San Onofre, near San Clemente, on the way down to San Diego. Adios, America. Bye.